So what do you think? Should we really change the name of the agency, Dawnshard?
Yeah, they really hated that one.
Never have our viewers been more unified.
Maybe we change it.
But the engagement.
Well, we can find other ways to drive engagement, right?
You know what time it is. Sule! Almost 6 months ago, we released a Dawnshard theory that we think solved how Anti-Dawnshard was truly destroyed. We were very happy with that video until recently when we started going deeper into the ideas of anti-investiture and the intents of the shards of Anti-Dawnshard themselves. Today, we will be spoiling the Cosmere, specifically major plot points from the Stormlight Archive and the Mistborn Saga, but also almost everything else. We're on a quest to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so your subscription would be very much appreciated. You can also help support us by buying some of our merch or joining our Patreon. Both links are in the description below. So there are 4 Dawnshards, obviously. We know 2 of them, and we know that one of the 4 is unique in some way thanks to this Words of Brandon. We originally linked that to the idea of agency, which we're now calling choose because you guys so kindly pointed it out in the comments that agency is not in fact a command. But the reality is that choose just doesn't seem that much different in principle from the rest of the Dawnshards change, exist, and our theorized Dawnshard feel. What if that's because the idea of the command isn't what's different from the others, but rather the polarity? Here's what I mean. What if some of the shards are not the original intents of Anti-Dawnshard? They are inversions, and therefore perversions of the original divine intents. We have a very detailed video about this idea here, or there, somewhere around this area. So what could this look like? Well, it would look very different depending on what your Dawnshard theory looks like, so let's just use our Dawnshard theory. To give a quick refresher, we suggest that the Dawnshards effectively pulled intents from Anti-Dawnshard, ripping them apart bloody chunk by bloody chunk, if you will. This could have happened consecutively or at the same moment in time. It really doesn't matter. What the theory suggests is that each shard is a blend of 2 of the Dawnshards. A primary Dawnshard, which is the first pull, then a secondary Dawnshard, which is the next pull. Exist pulled these 4, change pulled these 4, feel pulled these 4, and choose pulled these 4. From there, exist pulled these 4, change pulled these 4, feel pulled these 4, and of course, choose pulled these 4. What that means is that each intent has a unique combination of the Dawnshards. These 4 at the top of each section are pure shards of their associated Dawnshard command. So you could say that preservation is the truest exist shard, where it's pulled by exist, and then cultivation is the exist change shard, and so on and so forth for all of these. So each Dawnshard has another 3 shards in which they're the primary command of, and 3 shards in which they're the secondary command of. So cultivation, devotion, and dominion exist as the primary Dawnshard, versus ruin, honor, and reason, where exist as the secondary Dawnshard. That's a total of 7 shards impacted by each Dawnshard. Now, we're not going to justify the placement of these shards right now. You can see us do that in the original Dawnshard video. The theory for today is this: the Dawnshard feel has a negative polarity. So let's take a look at these 7. Odium. He's been described as the shard of hatred. The original intent could very well have been Anti-Dawnshard's divine wrath, a pointed, intense anger which was contextualized by the other shards. This theory posits that odium is a twist on this intent, becoming more about hatred, disgust, and seething. This is the one shard that has been truly affected by the negative Dawnshard. Honor. Wind and Truth really shined a light on the imperfection of this shard. Not only is the shard of bonds and oaths bereft of the context of mercy and love, but the shard itself doesn't truly seem to be about honor. It really seems to be the shard of petty technicalities. Mercy. One of the shards we have yet to see in the Cosmere. The only information we have about this shard is that it was present for the destruction of ambition and that it's currently worrying to harmony. The true intent of mercy should be worrying to nobody, unless you twist the meaning. Mercy could be about ending suffering, and if everyone is suffering, yikes. Whimsy. Yet another shard we have yet to see. This one has the least concrete evidence, so what might we expect to see when we meet Whimsy? This shard should be humorous and fleeting according to the name, though I would wager that the inverted intent of Whimsy would find joy in cruel jokes. Maybe taking pranks too far, creating eldritch horrors for its own amusement. Devotion. Now, these next 3 shards will have been affected the least by the inversion, but I think there's still something here. According to Brandon, Odium goaded Devotion and Dominion into a conflict before arriving on Cell to finish the job. The Shard of Love waging war against another shard? That just seems off. Even if acting in self-defense, love not war, right? Valor. Again, another shard we have yet to see but have heard about. The Shard of Valor is about bravery, supposedly, but somehow this shard has managed to stay hidden from all of the Rosharan shards and has avoided getting involved in the biggest conflict in the Cosmere. Well, if you accept the theory about Valor being on Roshar, this video here, then the shard may in fact be scheming to deal with Odium. The problem is that the shard is still hiding, avoiding conflict with anyone outside of Harmony and Endowment. A perversion of bravery? I think so. Endowment. Speaking of shards that have an interest on Roshar but refuse to communicate, Hoid's good friend Endowment has always seemed fishy to me. The Shard of Giving Gifts has a pretty corrupt system on her planet. The rich get richer and her chosen resurrected people get to lounge around all day without much ability to help the lowly. In fact, they require the breaths of the lowly to stay alive. On top of that, did she not have a hand in creating one of the most invested objects in the entire Cosmere, a weapon that takes investiture? What could be less giving than that? Okay, that was the shards. Now, I want to leave you with an interesting observation. A weird coincidence of this theory revolves around the shards who broke the non-intervention contract. 3 of these pairings are made up of 1 shard who was not touched by Feel and 1 who was. Honor and Cultivation, Devotion and Dominion, Mercy and Ambition. If that last one confuses you, watch our shard factions video here. The outlier here is Ruin and Preservation, but do you think the polarity has anything to do with how these pairings were formed? Could this be another opposites attract phenomena, or is this just a weird coincidence? I also can't help but notice that the shards Odium attacked first are all in those first 3 pairs I mentioned. But let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Is Feel the unique Dawnshard? Is it even a Dawnshard? Please tear us apart in the comments. I want to give a very special thank you to our true Lightcaller patrons, Mac, Aquila, and Cobweb. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all the support. Kolo?